I call this one a hot reference to prove that Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be worried, and I know he's worried. That is why he's already threatening Nigerians and the judiciary. Now, if Tinubu is not disqualified by the courts, forget about justice in Nigeria. I've carefully perused the petition of APM versus Tinubu, Shetima, APC, and INEC, and all I can say is that it appeared too mundane, but carries the strongest venom against Tinubu, Shetima, APC, and INEC. Many look down on the case and say that the Supreme Court has already determined the issue of double nomination. However, a close look at the petition will show that the case was never about double nomination of Shetima, but one of invalid nomination. The core of the case is that as at the time Tinubu nominated his running mate, he himself was no longer a candidate by virtue of a combined provisions of the Constitution and Electoral Act 2022 in Section 142, subsection 1 and Section 33 of the Constitution and Electoral Act respectively. Let me bring you closer to the facts, law and the petition before Court of Appeal by the APM. Due to the impression created about double nomination, the APC and Tinubu, in concert with the INEC, have presented a case before the Supreme Court that got them out of the trap of double nomination. However, in their bid to escape double nomination, they fell into invalid nomination. Follow me patiently. Now, in the pleading and final address, one fact remained consistent and undoubtedly solid as all the parties are in concurrence. The first, second, third, and fourth respondent all agreed that the placeholder Alhaji Masari withdraw as vice presidential placeholder on the 24th of June 2022. They also all agreed that the replacement was made on 14th July 2022. It is not debatable that between the withdrawal and the replacement, a period of 21 days lapsed. Of course, you know that Tinubu is more faster and 10 steps ahead of any of his opposition. But here is an invalid nomination that is about to take him down. Now, Section 142, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, provides that a president or presidential candidate is not qualified if he has not nominated another person to run with him or her as vice president. So, without a vice presidential candidate duly selected by the presidential candidate, the ticket is useless. So, in order to beat this provision and other requirement for time in the Electoral Act 2022, that APC invented what we now call the placeholder to secure the presidential ticket. For the period before his replacement, Alhaji Masali was the vice presidential candidate of the APC in the eyes of our laws. This was why he had to also explore the provision of the Electoral Act 2022 to withdraw as vice presidential candidate on the 24th of June 2022. Now, let's take a look at Section 33 of the Electoral Act 2022 is also visible to the blind as it mandates a political party whose candidate withdraws to replace such a candidate within 14 days. 14 days is 14 days and no court can extend such time for anyone. It is just like time for election petition cannot be extended by any court. APM is simply saying that as at the 14th day of July 2022, APC had no valid candidate for president as its vice presidential candidate withdraw 21 days before a replacement was made, instead of within 14 days. You see, this is our law and no court can amend it because of one person. This is a clear case of power coming from God. While they attempted to evade double nomination, they fell into invalid nomination. Isn't God way above the ways of man? You see, this is very, very interesting. But Bola Ahmed Tinubu thinks that the only reason why the Labour Party or the Nigerians are against him is because of his 25% in Abuja. He has a lot of case, man. Dual citizenship, forfeiture of $160,000, and even invalid nomination is equally hitting him. This man covers a lot of crime that he shouldn't be the president of a country, not even the giant of Africa. A perusal of INEC's final address reveals the disgraceful partisan posture of an institution that ought to be neutral. INEC shamelessly claimed that APM did not plead that APC replace its vice presidential candidate outside 14 days allowed by law. But luckily, the petition was handy for APM to point INEC's blind eyes to the portion of the petition where the facts were copiously pleaded. What remains? Now, the law, the facts, and the case are all against the candidacy of Tinubu, and no one can say otherwise. I only wait to see how the lords will deal with this. It will be interesting to see a contrary position from what the law clearly is. But what do I know? We are giving credit to Silas Joseph Onu ESQ, and we appreciate Umar Sani for providing this very beautiful piece to us. Now, you see, I love this very piece. In fact, this is one of the most beautiful pieces I've seen uh, since I've been broadcasting. The Tinubu council, or whatever they are, the Tinubu team, felt that they were smarter than the people, but they never consulted the law. The law stated that you have to have a vice president, or even somebody that will just be representing himself as a vice president for 14 days, within 14 days, and you must provide your vice president within that same 14 days. So somebody can just stand in between if you have not seen somebody to be your vice. Somebody can stand there, but the person has only 14 days to stand, whereas Tinubu failed to even provide. Masari, which is the former governor of Katsina State, stayed there for 24 days. One thing is very sure, just that the constitution of Nigeria, or the law, let's don't say the constitution, because the constitution is there, but it's left for those who are going to follow it. They will say man made constitution, so man can change constitution. But the constitution is already there, but the truth of the matter remains that whatever this regime or tenor, whatever they are trying to manipulate, P2B is far ahead of them. Tinubu is a smart man. I give him that credit. And he understands the corrupt way of this country. He understands the system. He has been doing it, has been working for him. But this is not the time of being smart. This is not the time of being an old father or great grandfather in the game. There's a time of following the law. And of course, he already knows that he has failed and failed woefully. Thanks for supporting the Future News. I love you guys, and let's continue to hold on to justice, because at the end of the day, justice will be served. And that's what is most important. The eyes are on the judiciary. Whatever threat that Tinubu is unleashing now is the joke is on him. It's not on us. Fact must be followed, and everything must be placed accordingly. Thank you once again. Peace.